On behalf of the Ayer Board of Selectmen and the Town of Ayer, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Town of Ayer for this very special occasion.
So I feel very fortunate to be here with all of you. Culmination of many hours of work by so many dedicated people in this community.
Well, thank you so much, Robert, and I have to say it's nice to be able to drive in here and actually have a place to park.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to be under this awesome parking deck in the rain today. And I think every ribbon cutting should be so well protected.
Express my gratitude to previous members of the Board of Selectmen who dealt with this project for years.
If we were to list all the people over the years that were involved in this project, we'd be here for at least another decade.
I was never involved in any of these decisions.
Statistically speaking, every $1 invested in public transit brings $4 in economic returns to the community.
The best projects are the product of many hands, and this certainly meets that criteria.
I need to recognize someone out in the audience this morning. This gentleman over here with the shorts on. Let's have a round of applause for him. I can't believe it. I'm over here dying from the cold, and you got shorts on.
This project is a further commitment to the improvement of the Fitchburg commuter rail line, which is in the best interests of the region's workforce and business community.
The project, as mentioned, has been completed ahead of schedule and under budget. Good morning. My name is Robert Pomerant, the Ayer Town Manager, and on behalf of the Ayer Board of Selectmen and the Town of Ayer, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Town of Ayer for this very special occasion. And before we hear from our various honored guests this morning, I'd like to just take a moment to say what this important transportation infrastructure project truly represents to not only the Town of Ayer in the region, but the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It represents regionalization and cooperation of all three levels of government, federal, state, and local, not just in terms of the funding, but in terms of the efforts to make this a reality. The support of MART and the member towns of MART who have believed and supported this project. The enduring support of the residents of Ayer and the Ayer Boards of Selectmen over the last 25 years. This project demonstrates the importance of community vision, involvement, and support over the long haul. It gives me great pleasure to be joined by the Ayer Board of Selectmen this morning, Selectman Scott Hood, Selectman Janice Livingston, and Selectman Sean Copeland. I would like to recognize and thank our local team for their expertise and support. Ms. Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager. Mr. Mark Wetzel, the DPW Superintendent. Fire Chief Robert Pedrazi. Police Chief William Murray. And Mr. Alan Minoyan, Director of Community and Economic Development. Working together with MART has not only made this project a reality, but we have set the stage for the second phase of this project, which is the Depot Square project, scheduled to begin in the spring of 2020. A special thanks to Hutter Construction, who built this project in 7 months. For those of you who were here on May 20th, just about 7 months ago, it was just the beginning of excavation, and now it is almost complete. And I also want to recognize the project architect and engineers from Wesson and Sampson, who we'll hear from later in the program. Finally, this project represents the first part of a comprehensive vision for the town of Ayer as a 21st century rail town. As many of you know, our history is based on the railroad, and so is our future. This project will provide not only commuter rail parking, but parking for our downtown businesses and residents. It will also facilitate the relief of commuter parking on our various residential streets. The project further enhances the rail trail usage and experience as visitors come all over from New England to use the rail trail. Ayer and Mart have invested in the commuter rail with the long-term vision of improved access of the Ayer station and the ultimate goal someday in the future of a handicapped accessible platform in Ayer. Without question, this project is part of an ongoing, proven strategy to revitalize our downtown. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Congresswoman Laurie Trahan of the 3rd Congressional District of Massachusetts to the town of Ayer to speak with you this morning. Congresswoman Trahan has been a true supporter of this project, as well as many of the various federal issues facing Ayer and the district. She has also been the custodian of the FTA federal earmark for this project, which was the oldest active federal transportation earmark in the country. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Congresswoman Trahan.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to join you all today for this momentous occasion, the grand opening of the Ayer Commuter Rail Parking Facility. It's been a very, very long time coming. So long, in fact, that the two people who represented the district in Washington, Congressman Marty Meehan and Congresswoman Nikki Songus, each had a hand in this project over the last 2 decades. So I feel very fortunate to be here with all of you, culmination of many, many hours of work by so many dedicated people in this community. Among those people, I'd also like to recognize the members of the Ayer Select Board, Scott Hood, Janice Livingston, and Sean Copeland. Congratulations on your victory last week. As well as Town Manager Robert Pombriand and Assistant Town Manager Carly Antonellis. I also want to thank my good friend Mayor Steve DiNatale, Mayor Dean Mazzarella, Senator Jamie Eldridge, and Representatives Jen Hutchinson, and Sheila Harrington, as well as Mohammed Khan of the Montechusett Regional Transit Authority and Master Flynn of Mass DOT. Finally, I'd like to thank the construction crews, the dedicated men and women who ensured that this project was built on time and within budget. It's incredible that the groundbreaking was just 7 months ago in May. What a fantastic job by so many. This new parking facility will more than double the parking capacity for our commuters. And this increase is sorely needed, as the Ayer station is among the busiest outside of 495, and I know that firsthand because I spent many mornings in the dark on the platform shaking hands last year. But as more and more people are priced out of Boston and we welcome them with open arms to the Metro West region, we need transit solutions just like this one. This new parking facility will allow more commuters to avoid white-knuckling it on the highway each day. And that will be good for their blood pressure, it'll be great for our economy, and most importantly for the air that we all breathe. Overcrowding and poor road conditions are causing congestion that costs most Americans about 97 hours of their time and $1,348 each year. However, our region's commuters have the cruel distinction of suffering the absolute worst congestion in the nation, losing 164 hours of their time and $2,300 annually. If we invest to provide affordable public transit at convenient intervals and locations, then drivers will give it a chance. And this project is a perfect example of how we can work together at all levels of government, as well as with the private sector, to deliver viable and reliable alternatives to break down lanes and brake lights. The fact is, all of that congestion is doing tremendous damage to our roads and bridges. They are taking a beating each day, Over 54,000 bridges across the country are rated structurally deficient, yet they're passed over 178 million times a day. Meanwhile, tailpipe emissions and other sources of greenhouse gases are driving the globe to the absolute red line. Over the last 5 years, major storms, wildfires, and other climate-related disasters cost the United States $500 billion. That's $100 billion a year. And America's greenhouse gas emissions are 7 billion metric tons per year, second only to China. While we've seen CO2 emissions decline in recent years from the electrical generation sector, the trend is in the wrong direction for transportation. Cars and trucks emitted nearly 400 million more metric tons of carbon dioxide in 2017 than it did in 1991. In fact, BU recently issued a report that emissions from vehicles entering and leaving the city each day represent 29% of total city emissions. 3/4 of those emissions are from private passenger vehicles. We must absolutely make public transit, especially multimodal transit, more viable and desirable. And we need to reduce barriers to transferring between cars, buses, and rail lines, and even bikes. This new facility right next to the Nashua River Rail Trail is exactly the type of multimodal development that we need to build more of. And I want to commend you all for reserving spots for users of the rail trail. As someone who loves trails myself, I appreciate your commitment to making the trail accessible to those of us who are eager to get out of our cars and onto our bikes. Before I conclude, I'll just share that I was a staffer for Congressman Marty Meehan back in 1998 when we actually included the $3.15 million earmark that's been used for this project in the federal budget. I can't imagine that there are too many earmarks as old as this one still on the books. Heck, this earmark outlived earmarks themselves. So it is really a joy to see the work of so many in this community pay off after all these years. Thank you again. I look forward to working with each of you to continue to improve the public transit options in Ayer and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Trahan. Our next speaker has been a longtime supporter of this project. State Senator Jamie Eldridge has been instrumental in not only setting up key meetings for this project, but has worked tirelessly to preserve the existing funding and to expand funding for this project. Most recently, his legislative earmark, which was supported by Representatives Benson and Harrington in the amount of $250,000 for the Depot Square project, has been greatly appreciated and will be put to good use in the spring of 2020. It gives me great pleasure to welcome a true friend of the town of Ayer, State Senator Jamie Eldridge.
Well, thank you so much, Robert, and I have to say it's nice to be able to drive in here and actually have a place to park. So, I'm just so excited to be here. This is a project that the legislative delegation, working with the town of Ayer, has worked on, I think, for over 8 years. And previously, the town of Ayer has worked on this project for decades. I do want to give a special thanks with Mark, with Mohammed Khan, Bruno Fisher, George, for their dedication seeing this through and constructing this parking facility. On the town side, Robert Pontfran, of course, Assistant Town Manager Carly Vincenellis, Ellen Minoyan, the Economic Development Director, and as Congresswoman Trahan remarked, the oldest earmark in the country, her playing a role in securing it as a staffer and now keeping that earmark for this very special occasion. So I'm so grateful for her commitment to the entire district, including the Neshoba Valley region. With respect to the legislative delegation, Representative Benson, Representative Harrington, myself, as well as outside elected officials such as Mayor Tita Talley, were very focused, and as Robert said, set up multiple meetings with Astrid Glenn, with Mass DOT, with other state agencies to make this a reality and make sure those state grants, everything from Mass Works to Mass DOT funding to earmarks in the budget, were secure to see us to this day. And I think it's important to emphasize that what's happening here at Ayer is really exciting because you're You're seeing the downtown thriving, you're seeing more restaurants come in, you're seeing increased economic activity, while you're also seeing more people move to Ayer who are commuters. And the challenge, of course, was that was a parking challenge, both for people looking to get on the train to go into Boston or Cambridge, but also that it was finding it harder to park in downtown Ayer to take advantage of the many recreational and restaurant and other opportunities in downtown Ayer. So this parking facility really addresses both of those challenges. I think creates a real synergy, and I'm just very proud that it's been a federal, state, and local partnership that has really brought us to this day. And I would note, I know Congressman Trahan noted, is that part of this parking facility, the parking spaces, will also be dedicated to the Nash River Rail Trail. And certainly, I think every legislator would speak to the fact that the enthusiasm for rail trails is just growing across the state. I know in the district I represent, we now have the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, we have the Aspen River Rail Trail, and more people are using the Nash River Rail Trail as well, and there's plans for other ones as well. So to have dedicated public parking for rail trails is incredibly exciting as well. This is a project that I've been very focused on for the past 8 years. So wonderful for all of us to come together. Thank you to all the stakeholders, and wonderful celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Eldridge. Our next speaker is always only one phone call away and no stranger to the town of Ayer. State Representative Jennifer Benson has worked tirelessly in support of this project over the last decade. Whether it was facilitating needed meetings or phone calls for this project, or touring the conditions of the Ayer Community Platform in freezing temperatures, Representative Benson has always been on the ground with us and a true working partner with this project. It gives me great pleasure to welcome her to Ayer this morning.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to be under this awesome parking deck in the rain today. And I think every ribbon cutting should be so well protected from the elements. But, I think we've heard already the excitement and the number of years it has taken to get to this place. And certainly, we've heard it takes a village to raise a child. It took longer than raising a child to raise this parking platform. But the village that is here has worked together and has been incredible. And so, sometimes, we hear all the time that relationships matter. And in politics, all politics are local. And this project really shows us the importance of both of those things. We have worked tirelessly together to make this happen. It has spanned generations of public officials, as Congresswoman Trahan mentioned, and it's so exciting to see this actually coming to fruition. And I have to say, it is such a value to our whole region. The Fitchburg Rail Line is the spine of my district, and without it, the vibrancy and the growth that is happening in this region wouldn't be here. So making sure there is access to this asset, as well as this asset, which is where I taught my kids how to ride their bike, is critically important for the economic development and the growth for families in this district. So with that, I would like to, on behalf of myself and Representative Harrington, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, she was very upset that she wouldn't be here to celebrate with us. I have a citation for the town of Ayer. I feel like you deserve so much more, but I guess you have this, so that's pretty good. From the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to the town of Ayer in recognition of the grand opening of the Ayer Community Rail parking facility. Maybe we need a catchier name. Yeah. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 9th day of December 2019, signed by Robert DeLeo, Speaker of the House, myself, and Sheila Harrington. So, you know, this is quite a momentous occasion. I hope to never have to talk about this parking facility again. And congratulations to the entire team for coming together and making this happen. And for Mart really leading the way, never giving up on getting this done along with the town. So thank you so much for that. And I am going to, who wants to receive this? Anyone? All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Benson. And as the representative mentioned, unfortunately, Representative Harrington could not be here this morning, but I do want to publicly recognize her support and contribution to this project and to the town of Ayer. We're truly fortunate to have two state representatives in Ayer, and both Representative Benson and Representative Harrington are true partners and supporters of this great town. The Ayer Board of Selectmen have not only been true supporters and visionaries of this project, but their tireless support for all aspects of the project, including the challenges of supporting local funding and the very difficult decisions of eminent domain and other last-minute difficult decisions they have to make, made this project a reality, and they are to be truly commended. Whenever asked for support in any form for this project, they have truly given it, and we are forever grateful. It gives me great pleasure to introduce first Selectman Scott Hood, Chairman of the Ayer Board of Selectmen.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. I want to express my gratitude to previous members of the Board of Selectmen who dealt with this project for years. I've only been on the board for about a year and a half, so I kind of came in towards the tail end and get to experience the grand opening of this wonderful facility. The way that Ayer is impacted by a project like this, as other people have mentioned, is our downtown is really our lifeblood of our community, as that includes our commuter rail station. This project is a great piece in the revitalization and an investment in our community, both for commuters who are going in Boston, but also for our town itself. The downtown area is vibrant. There's lots of businesses. There's always a challenge for parking, and this definitely will help with that. The 20 years that I've been in town, I've seen so much progress with our community. My wife and I originally bought in town. We thought we were going to be here for 5 years, and ultimately decided to lay our roots and raise our family here. And through the years, we've seen our town grow. The wonderful community of people that we have is now supported with projects like this to make our community desirable and just a fantastic place to raise a family. So thank you all again for coming.
Thank you, Selectman Hood. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the Vice Chair of the Ayer Board of Selectmen, Selectman Janice Livingston.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. What an exciting day. If we were to list all the people over the years that were involved in this project, we'd be here for at least another decade. So what's important to remember is that, first of all, thank you to our state and federal elected officials, to our Ayer Board of Selectmen, both current and past, for the amount of people. Big thank you to Town Manager Robert Pombrian and Assistant Town Manager Carly Antonellis, who numerous times risked pneumonia trying to get this project moving. But the other people that we have to remember to thank is the residents of the town of Ayer. We all know that patience is a virtue, and the patience that you had in being patient is unbelievable. But it is because of your belief, your vision. You got this project. You never let up on this project. And it's because of you this project exists. And for that, thank you very much. And congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Livingston. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Air Board of Selectmen's newest member, Selectman Sean Copeland, who was elected last week in a special election, to say a few words.
Thank you, everybody. So, I've only been on the board for less than a week, so I was never involved in any of these decisions. I've actually only lived in there for a couple of months, but what I can say is that, similar to what the congresswoman was saying, one of the exciting things is the environmental impact this garage will have on not only our community, but on the state as a whole. Being able to get this many cars off of the road commuting into Boston is really exciting. Another thing is I'm optimistic for the future economic activity that this garage will help provide to our town. And then the third thing, I think it's important to congratulate the construction workers and the architect, especially because when I lived in Shirley and I heard this garage was going up, I was like, oh, what is the garage going to look like in downtown Ayer? And I think that the construction design fits in perfect with our town. So thank you very much to everybody for being here.
Thank you, Selectman Copeland. As mentioned, our partners on the federal level are very important and have been very instrumental in this project. And our next speaker gives me great pleasure to introduce. About a decade ago, I remember talking to her about this project when she was with then Congressman John Olver, and now she's with the Federal Transit Administration as their planning director, director of planning, and a true expert on transportation and a true partner for this project, Ms. Kristen Wood.
So thank you so much for inviting FTA here today to help you celebrate. I'm here representing Secretary Elaine Chow and our administrator, Jane Williams. So FTA is excited to celebrate this important milestone, which provides great benefits to both the commuters using Ayer Station, but also to the community and to the downtown business district. I first have to recognize the commitment of Mo, Carly, and Robert, who really persevered, and no matter what hurdles were thrown in front of them, their commitment and their foresight of what this would bring to the community and to the overall region, nothing stopped them, which is evident because we're here today. Statistically speaking, every $1 invested in public transit brings $4 in economic returns to the community. And you can see where this has easily, possibly already been achieved here in Ayer, but will easily be done so. With increased folks parking here at the station means more riders walking through the downtown business district, eating in the restaurants, picking things up to and from work. There will be less congestion, more parking in the business district, so people can more easily frequent all of the businesses along the main road. And on a personal note, I'm truly impressed with the speed that this structure went up. My home got destroyed in July, and I think that Hutter could probably put up another parking garage in the amount of time it will take before I'm able to move back home. So, congratulations, great job, and thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. And our professionals on the state level are also key, and Mass DOT is no exception. Mass DOT has been an invaluable partner, not only with this project, but with the many transportation and infrastructure projects here in Ayer and throughout the entire Mart region. We are pleased to have with us this morning Ms. Astrid Glynn, Rail and Transit Administrator for Mass DOT.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and to have the opportunity to congratulate Montechusett Transit in the form of Mo Khan and others as well as the town of Ayer and all the other supporters of this project. The best projects are the product of many hands, and this certainly meets that criteria. Over the last year, we've had a lot of reports on how transportation can be improved, particularly how regional transportation by the regional transit authorities can be improved, how congestion can be reduced. This type of facility is an important ingredient in all of those scenarios. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity on behalf of the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Secretary Pollock to congratulate everybody here who made it possible and who will get to enjoy it. We hope you use it all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Astrid. We mentioned MARC and the importance of MARC not only for this project, but for the whole region, which Ayer is a proud member of MARC. And I want to thank the MARC Advisory Board, all of my colleagues on there, for their support of this project over the last decade. And we're honored this morning to have with us the Vice Chair of the MARC Advisory Board, the Honorable Mayor Steve DiNatale, who I talked about this project with when he was a state rep, and now he's the mayor of Fitchburg, and he's been very supportive of not only this project, but of MARC and the Fitchburg line, and he is the mayor of my hometown. So it's great to have him here this morning, Mayor DiNatale.
I need to recognize someone out in the audience this morning. This gentleman over here with the shorts on. Let's have a round of applause for him. I can't believe it. I'm over here dying from the cold, and you got shorts on. Love it. If what I'm going to say you've heard already, too bad. I'm going to say it again. First and foremost, this project was completed under budget and ahead of schedule, something that I'm very sensitive to. Thank you. And the additional parking that it's going to provide certainly is a key issue as well. Commuter rail ridership out of Ayer Station is the highest on, take note, the Fitchburg line outside of Route 495. So it's a geographically important station for commuters of communities around Ayer, as well as from southern New Hampshire, and the additional parking is critically needed. With the completion of the garage, the number of parking spaces increases from 80 to approximately 180, more than doubling the available parking for commuter rail customers, as well as for the recreational patrons who utilize the rail trail, which abuts the new parking facility. Approximately 15 spaces will be set aside for that use. As an add-on to the amenities at the garage, once the project is completed by the general contractor, MARC will be installing a video surveillance system as well as 4 electric vehicle charging stations. As part of the agreement for the transfer of the former DCR rail trail property in which the garage is built, the project is building restroom facilities. Hey. We all love restrooms, don't we? Okay. The project is built at the Depot Square property, which abuts the commuter rail station, and with additional capital and earmarked funds, we've already talked about that, Senator Eldridge and the local delegation with their help. MARC will be making additional safety improvements. And you know what this speaks to, folks? Presentation that I recently was at with Smart Growth America and Locust, the importance of transportation in being an economic development driver, and that's what this will be and continues to be. So congratulations, everyone. And that's right, Rob Pomprian comes from Fitchburg. So I want to make note of that. Thank you, Rob. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The support of this project from the Ayer and regional business community has been integral to its success. A true supporter of this project from the beginning has been our Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Ms. Melissa Federhoff, President of the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. On behalf of the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce, I'm honored to be part of today's festivities. Our region has been challenged with transportation issues that together we have worked on, Sometimes they take over 20 years, but with great leadership, we've found a way to make things happen. Whether it be connecting our downtown air rail riders with last mile connectivity to stops at Devon's, Neshoba Valley Medical Center, Shirley, Fitchburg, and more, or working on projects like this to increase parking for our downtown businesses and residents. This project is important not only to the residents looking to commute into the city, but to the business community for continued economic development in our region. One thing I know many of the businesses in Ayer are excited about is the freeing up of parking spaces in downtown Ayer, allowing customers better access. This project is a further commitment to the improvement of the Fitchburg commuter rail line, which is in the best interests of the region's workforce and business community. And so I applaud Ayer Town Manager Robert Pontrian for his leadership, Mohammed Khan of MART, and our legislative delegation for the exceptional work that they've done to get us here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. One of our speakers unfortunately couldn't be with us this morning, but I do want to publicly recognize Ms. Jessica Strunkin, Vice President for Mass Development for Devon's. The Ayer commuter rail stop is the closest one to Devon's, and with all of the economic activity there, it's very important that the town of Ayer and Devon's continue to work together, not only to improve rail access, but access from the Ayer commuter stop to regional points throughout the MART footprint. The project, as mentioned, has been completed ahead of schedule and under budget, which is no small feat. And we want to publicly recognize two entities that made that possible. The architects and engineers for the project from Weston and Sampson, and they're here. Weston and Sampson worked with Mark and the town of Ayer from the very beginning to overcome a lot of various obstacles, from engineering to design to you name it. It was a pleasure to work with the firm to make this project a reality. And then the credit to those who constructed it from Hutter Construction. I believe they're up in the back, some of the representatives from Hutter. Hutter Construction has been a pleasure to work with here in the town of Ayer. It seemed like 25 years was the longest part, and then in 7 months, from May 20th to today, it has constructed a top-notch professional firm to work with, and we thank Hutter for their efforts. So with that, I want to thank all of our speakers for their remarks and continued support of this project. In terms of next steps, Mark will be finishing various punch list items for the project with the goal of opening the facility to the public after the first of the year. Additionally, the town of Ayer is actively working with MART to prepare for the Depot Square phase of the project, which will include restroom facilities, a commuter drop-off, handicap parking, lighting, commuter shelters, and the development of a 21st century Depot Gateway Park here in Ayer. So with that, we want to thank all of you for coming this morning, and thank you for your continued support for this important project and for this great town of Ayer. Thank you. Now Mohammed would like everybody to join at the